Coming up on the official Celtic FC podcast, Paul Cuddihy chats to Team GB Taekwondo athlete and Celtic supporter Rebecca McGowan about her excitement at competing at the Olympic Games in Paris.
You know, I've proven to myself and I've proven to everyone that I'm well and truly capable of winning gold there. It's just about getting out there and doing it.
Hello and welcome to the official Celtic FC podcast, the podcast where you can find out all about Celtic, past, present and future. And of course, the excitement is building ahead of the new season for Brendan Rodgers' side. But there is a small matter of another sporting event taking place this summer. That is, of course, the Olympics, which are taking place in Paris this year. And I'm delighted that joining me on the podcast is one of the sports people who are going to be competing for Great Britain this summer, Rebecca McGowan, who's going to be representing Great Britain in Taekwondo. She's going to be competing on August the 10th. And not only are we looking forward to seeing you competing, Rebecca, of course, the fact that you are also a big fan of Celtic does help as well. And we'll all be cheering you on that big day.
Thank you very much.
Now, we were chatting just before we started recording, and you're in the middle of just your final training before you head over to Paris. And I was just asking you how the nerves are holding up, and you know, you were saying that I'm guessing just that you're focused on what you have to do ahead of that big day and being ready for that big day.
Yeah, I think there's still a few weeks to go, and everyone thinks that we should be starting to ease up because obviously it's a martial art, it's quite a full contact sport, and everyone's saying to me you must be starting to lighten up a little bit, but we're still quite deep in the prep. So yeah, still got time for the nerves to build in, but it's excitement right now. Excited to get out there.
Yeah, I'm guessing like for every sportsman and sportswoman, you have to, and that'll be part of your preparations, because you know you have to peak on that day. So it's August the 10th in Paris that you'll be competing. But everything you're doing is geared towards on that day being in your best possible shape, physically and mentally, in order to try and win that gold medal.
Yeah, to be honest, we've kind of been in that mindset since the beginning of the year. Actually, since the final competition of last year, I kind of knew in my head I put all focus on this games, and obviously there was a selection to be done before then. But yeah, everything kind of focused the whole year on the Olympics, and all the competitions that we done and that I chose to do were around building and trying to just peak for the games. So yeah, everything from the beginning of January has been all about just trying to be in the best form for this games and being in the best position I can be.
Now, you've obviously competed in European Championships. You previously won a gold medal. You've competed in World Championships as well and won medals. Is this your first Olympics then? Or?
Yeah, so I went to Tokyo as a reserve athlete. So I actually got to do kind of the whole prep camp and the training leading up to it. But I just never got to do the actual Olympic Games. So this is the first time that I'm going to get to go and actually fight at it, which is really exciting. I can't wait. Yeah,
and I suppose going to the last Games, I'm guessing that must have been great motivation, because you say you're there, you're part of the team, but you're not going to be competing.
Yeah.
That must have been in your head to say, well, see, next time around, I want to make sure I'm in this team.
No, literally, I can remember being in Tokyo and thinking, like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to be doing the whole prep and then the final part just being cut away from me. So at that point, it kind of just lit a fire in me, and since then it was focused on doing everything I could to get to Paris. But yeah, it definitely lit a fire that I wasn't going to be being reserved next time.
Yeah, great for your family as well, because Paris is obviously a lot easier to get to than Tokyo.
Way easier. Maybe not as more expensive than it normally is, but yeah, it's way closer, way easier to get to.
Yeah. Now, this is a sport that you've been involved in, I understand, since you've been about 6 years old. How did that come about? How did your interest first get piqued by Taekwondo?
So one of my friends at the time, we call it frenemies, I guess. Sometimes we were friends, sometimes we were beating lumps out of each other in the street. But he done Taekwondo, and then in my head that meant that he had an edge over me. He'd more of a, don't know, gave him an edge to beating me up. So when I found out that he done Taekwondo, that was kind of me. I decided that I wanted to do it. I wanted to try and do it to beat him up and be better at it than him. Never looked back.
So there wasn't anything, it wasn't like your family, like your mum or dad did anything, had done anything like that, no?
No, I think it was a new sport to all of us. They'd never, don't even think they'd heard of it.
Yeah, because I'm always guessing again, having, over the years, particularly speaking to a lot of footballers, and when they get to the kind of the top of their particular sport, which you've done, the Taekwondo, you can't do it without that support of your family, because even from a young age, they're taking you to train and they're taking you to competitions, encouraging you all the time.
Yeah, I've said like a few different times as much, like there was always the running back and forth and kind of giving up their nights to take me and my little brother, who've done football, to take us both to our sports. Financially it was, we were traveling all around Europe since I was 10. But it's also, like you said, like the emotional and mental side, especially when you get to the top higher end. It's elite sports is stressful, elite sports is quite ruthless at times. So just being able to have them there to, help me through it and just give me a push or whatever when I need to is much help as everything else.
I mean, at what age, you said from about the age of 10 that you started, travelling further afield competing, was it quite quickly into starting it that you realised, or your coaches or even your parents realised that you had an aptitude for this?
Yeah, so I mean, one of my dad really early on, he wanted to go and put a bet on me to win the Olympics, and I said to him,
I hope he's done it. Please tell me he's done that.
I don't think he did. He told me that he's not. Maybe he's just saying that. But I asked him, I says, why wouldn't it be just to get to the Olympics or to medal at the Olympics? And he went, no, I think you can win the Olympics. So he done that. He just must have realised quite early on that I kind of had a natural act to it. I think I always loved it, and when I watched one of the GB girls win a bronze in Beijing, and I watched the heavyweights, a girl from Serbia win the heavyweight division in London, and at that point that was when I think it properly clicked that I could do that. But it wasn't until probably I was a little bit older that I realised that no, I actually could do it. I'm good enough to do it. So it was always, I guess, quite young I realised that I could go to the Olympics in it, but it took a little while to realise that I actually had the potential to get.
Yeah.
Well, it took me longer than it took my dad.
But I suppose, I mean, in much the same way as he's saying, no, I think you can win it. It's not just about going there. My guess is that's your mentality as well, because if you get into that team, you don't want to just go to make up the numbers. You're going there because you want to win that gold medal.
Yeah, 100%. I've said again, I've the whole of last year, that's when I was winning the European medals and the world medals, it's those girls that are going to be at the Olympics. So, I've proven to myself and I've proven to everyone that I'm well and truly capable of winning gold there. It's just about getting out there and doing it. And Taekwondo is a little bit different to other sports. It's quite, I call it a volatile sport. There's so many different things that it's not about just turning up on the day and on that day anyone can win it. And it could take, the referees have such an influence in the match. The system we use, an electronic scoring system, even that can have an influence on how the match turns around. So there's so many things that can influence it. So for me, it's just about going and just trying to perform the best that I can. And then, I mean, hopefully that'll bring gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, just focusing on that rather than the outcome at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose it's having that positive mindset as well. That's
100%.
Again, for elite athletes, you need that.
Yeah, I think my coach has always told me, if you focus on doing the right things and performing the best you can, you'll come away with the medal you want. So that's my kind of trick to getting gold and bringing gold home. So I mean, hopefully it'll work.
Yeah, no, listen, fingers crossed. Now, I understand is that right? Your club is in Annie's Land. Is it Caledonian Taekwondo that you're?
Yeah.
How long have you been a member of that club?
Since I started Taekwondo.
Right.
They've all watched me grow up since I was a kid. But yeah, that's the first club and the only club I've ever trained at, apart from the Olympic Academy.
Yeah, that must be nice again for, because there'll be members of that club that will remember you from when you first started coming along, and they've been on your journey, I suppose. Yeah,
they're all coming to watch me in Paris, a load of them. So yeah, it's nice, and it's nice to have that support that yeah, they've all been there since I was a kid, a really, really young kid. So yeah, it's as much as all of their journey and my mum and dad's and my family's journey as it is mine. So it's nice that it is close enough that they're all going to be able to come over and watch it and to hopefully get gold with me.
Yeah, and it's nice as well that from your motivation from starting, which was just to win against street fighting, that you've actually focused it more positively.
Yeah, we've focused it from street fighting in the street to Olympics.
Because the other thing I always think is, which again is amazing, I think for a lot, and it'll be the same for a lot of people who haven't managed to get to any sort of elite level of sport. And obviously, the Olympics it's always been the gold standard, as it were, in terms of athletics and all these sports. That for you to get to that level, you know, because so many people will want to compete in Taekwondo, very few get to compete in the Olympics, and that again is, you know, that's an impressive achievement, you know, in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think for our sport, it's not just one competition. It's not just being competing for one competition and qualifying through that one competition. It's since Tokyo, we've all been competing for points to qualify. So with us, it's one person per country qualifies and 6 places automatically qualify. And it's fighting at the World Championships, the European Championships, just competitions around Europe and around the world to try and get as many points. So it's not about just being good at one time. You have to be consistently good for that. This time it was a 3-year period, but normally a 4-year period. So yeah, it's an extremely tough process, and I mean, for some people, injuries can take you out of that. So it's trying to stay at the top of your game for 3 years whilst keeping your body good, keeping your mind good, and yeah, it's a tough process to get in there. But I mean, makes it worth it. It makes it even better when you do it.
Yeah, I bet you. And I was noticing what you know, there's different weight categories in terms of the sport. What weight category are you fighting at?
So I'm a heavyweight. I fight at plus 67 kilos.
Right. See, I was
Plus
hoping
60.
you would say that, because I just thought that's a seamless link into Celtic, and I thought surely it's written in the stars if you're a Celtic fan and you're fighting at the 67 kilo, like you have to win.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's good because first a Taekwondo, like you speak to a lot of athletes in Taekwondo and they're all in weight categories, so they all have to be really, really strict with their diet and they're all constantly making weight. But I mean, I don't have to do that because I'm a heavyweight, so it's brilliant.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned obviously you're a Celtic fan as well. Family are all Celtic supporters.
Yeah.
I take it that's been a lifelong love for you as well.
Yeah, that's just sort of born into that as well. I used to go to games with my dad when I was a little girl, but you know, Taekwondo competitions came along and they were always on a Saturday and a Sunday. So I ended up, as I got a little bit older, I transferred my weekends more to Celtic. But my dad and my little brother are still going to games to this day. So it's always just kind of ran in the family as well to support Celtic and go and watch some games with them.
Yeah, and I suppose because, and again, maybe, you know, even from when you were a wee girl, and obviously your focus was on Taekwondo, but even the fact that now we've got like a professional women's team, you know, for young girls that want to play football and are Celtic supporters. Obviously, if they're showing aptitude for either Taekwondo or wanting to win street fights, then they'll still go down your sport.
Yeah.
But there's just so many more options now for
Yeah.
guys to play sport professionally.
It's progressed so much, and it was something when I was a kid, like that football, Taekwondo, things like this were never. You didn't see many girls doing it. I mean, we definitely used to play football in the street as well, as much as were fighting. But yeah, there wasn't as many options when I was younger for like girls to do sports. A lot of it was like dancing and gymnastics and stuff like that. But yeah, as like the years have kind of gone on, like women's football has become absolutely massive. So to see like the big clubs having women's teams and them being so successful and stuff is just it's great to see. And I think it's so good for the young girls having so many options now to do. And yeah.
Because one of the things, and again, a lot of the Celtic players, the women's team players, they'll say, and they're very conscious of being role models of, if you can see it, you can be it. Now, but you know, the same goes for you, that if you know, young girls who want to to take up Taekwondo, can see another young Scottish woman competing at the Olympics, looking to try and win a medal. That's inspirational.
Yeah, I think it's like Taekwondo is such a like unique sport that's not, I guess it's not very widely known, especially in the UK. It's definitely becoming more and more recognised, but yeah, it's still quite a small sport. So especially in the UK, with there never having been a Scottish Taekwondo athlete going to the Olympics, that's like a massive hope for me, is that it can just kind of bring light to a sport that is so fantastic and so amazing to watch. And so amazing to participate in. So yeah, it's good to kind of bring a bit more light to that, and hopefully, yeah, in 10-15 years time there'll be a load of little Scottish boys and girls that are going to the Olympics.
Yeah, and name checking you as their inspiration.
Yeah.
Because I always think the good thing about, one of the really positive things about the Olympics is obviously people suddenly develop an interest in maybe a lot of sports that over the course of 1 year or 2 years that they don't really take an interest in. Suddenly in the Olympics, everybody suddenly becomes an expert on this, that, or the other. But
Yeah.
it's such a big focus on it.
Yeah, so after Tokyo, it was because obviously Taekwondo was at the start of Tokyo, and there was a lot of obviously controversial moments within Taekwondo 14 GB in Tokyo, and it kind of brought loads and loads of light to it, and it was one of people's most favourite sports to watch, and I think it was the most viewed sport throughout that Olympics. But it's with Taekwondo, it's not like football where it's on Sky Sports or BBC every single week. It's quite hard to keep track of the competitions. But hopefully, I mean, it's the one of the last sports at this game, so hopefully it will kind of remind people that it's existing, and hopefully throughout the next cycle we'll get a bit more exposure, I guess, and so people can kind of keep up to date with it. But it's such an amazing sport to watch, and I think when you actually see it happening and see what it is when it's on TV, it's fantastic to watch, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, and as you said, that the fact that you're the first Scot to represent Team GB in Olympics shows that there's still a lot of growth there, and hopefully, this is only the start.
Yeah, 100%. That's hopefully in a few cycles time we'll have loads and loads of Scottish athletes coming through. But I mean, there's so much talent within the UK and specifically within Scotland. It's just that exposure and bringing it to light. So if I can be the person that can do that, then I'm absolutely happy to do that. And yeah, hopefully can inspire some young kids to take it up and give it a go.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, we were talking earlier on about how, your dad and your brother still go to the games, and
Yeah.
who, when you were growing up, who would have been like your football heroes in terms of Celtic when you started watching?
The first player I ever remember watching, because I remember him running through someone, I thought that's so cool, was Bobo Baldy.
Right.
That was the first person. And as we got older, like I remember watching James Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quite a legend within the sport, and kind of he was there at the time that I was going to watch it, and he was the biggest name at that time. And yeah, I think as we got a little bit older, watching the younger players come through, like Kieran Tierney, and him going and starting at a club like Celtic in Scotland, and now he's like smashing it in the big. He's in the Premier League now, I'm pretty sure, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's amazing seeing people that are, when he was round about my age as well. So watching them, come in and smash it, coming through the Scottish grassroots was amazing to see.
And I mean, probably your weekends are still all being taken up by Taekwondo. If you get the odd weekend off, are you trying to get a ticket off your dad and your brother?
Yeah, I'll steal my dad and my little brothers.
Because I think as well, I said to you right at the start, and obviously everybody will be watching the Olympics and hoping you win gold. But I think, I think as Celtic fans, whether it's someone in music or whether it's in acting or whether it's in sport, as soon as you find out that they're a Celtic fan, everybody's like, they're just willing you on because they think that's great.
Yeah.
It's somebody that could be sitting next to you at Celtic Park sometime.
Yeah, I think like especially it becomes such a a family rooted thing. So it's just kind of been part of my family, just to, you know, watch whenever they're on. They're always on TV. My dad's always, if he's not at a game, he's sitting watching it. So it's always just something that's kind of ingrained into us, and I think that's just something throughout the whole of Glasgow and the whole of Scotland, that like, if Celtic's it just becomes ingrained into your blood, into your family. So yeah, it becomes like a kind of family atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we mentioned again before we started recording about your nerves are fine because you're obviously focusing on your preparations, but
Yeah,
the family nerves are beginning to jangle a wee bit.
yeah, they're taking my nerves for me right now, I think. But equally, they're as excited as I am to go over there and to embrace it all with me and to see it all happen.
Because that must be amazing for them as parents, and as you say, as your brother as well, because they'll remember back to, you know, when you just wanted to start doing this.
Yeah.
But then also just that kind of pride of seeing not only that you're taking part, but you're taking part at an elite level amongst the best people in this sport at this time. And that must be, can't you begin to imagine how amazing that must be for them whenever they see you competing?
Yeah, it's just like I've said a few times, like my gran's been there throughout the whole thing as well, and she was saying, like, I just can't believe that one of my grandchildren, like one of my family's actually going, because you forget, like I think because I've been so immersed in it for so many years, and surrounded by people that are going to the Olympics, that have been to the Olympics, won gold at the Olympics, every single day for the past 8 years. I forget that it's like such a big thing. It's so uncommon. So yeah, like when I hear my grand say things like that, it kind of brings me back down to reality a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Oh, listen, I think that's an understatement to say it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But is it, you know, I think maybe that's one of the differences that separate people like who are fans from people who are elite sports men and women, is that for us it's pretty cool, but for you it's your life, and you're there not to take part. You're there for a reason, and there's a target.
Yeah. I guess it's the same with football, isn't it? When all the fans and all of us are at home watching Celtic playing the Champions League, for them it's just daily business, isn't it? It's just what they've been working for, and it's what they're thinking about every single day. But for the fans and for everyone watching at home, it's a massive thing, and it's, you know, their enjoyment every week. It's their weekly enjoyment to watch them play, and it's just it's just their life that they're living, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, I said the date you are competing on August the 10th. That's when you've got the opportunity to bring home the gold, and that obviously people will be able to watch that, because you know the coverage of the Olympics is always pretty widespread. So that's the D-Day for you.
That's D-Day. That's the final battle site. Don't know.
Well, listen, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
I think it's, I mean, as I said, as fans and people who like sport, it's amazing, you know, to see somebody get to that level. But you know, it's then great for people to be able to tune in to watch Taekwondo, and knowing that we'll be cheering someone on, hopefully that might get you with a gold medal back at Celtic Park.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's brilliant. But thanks very much for joining us on the official Celtic FC podcast.
Thank you for having me.